Hello everyone! This video series will be all about how to assemble the DADSON Prusa i3.
Hey, pop the trunk, open up, I sold my soul a good price, out of sight, my whole got talent.
Hello everyone! This video is part 2 of the DADSON Prusa i3 3D printer assembly. Today we will assemble the X-axis, and although you can pretty much just go ahead and use the original Prusa MK3 assembly guide, there are perhaps some iterations in hardware where you can benefit from using this build guide. Let's start by looking at the parts and pieces we need to assemble the X-axis. You will of course also find these in the bill of materials in the DADSON GitHub page. I want to mention that these parts are the newest versions, just redesigned yesterday. On the original DADSON Prusa, the first one, the yellow one, I've used these. The difference is the mounting of the brass nut, which on this version goes in through the bottom, simply because my lead screws for the first version weren't long enough. But for this build we got the correct length of lead screws, so we don't need to use these old versions. These, the one we're going to use today. Unfortunately I didn't have enough of this kind of orange color, and I gotta tell you, it's triggering my OCD like crazy, but it'll just have to do. Oh, we need that part. So we're gonna put this aside. I've decided to try and make the entire orange DADSON Prusa with the IGUS dryland, but of course you can also use these. These are of course the normal linear bearing versions. It's totally up to you. I might end up going back to these, but for now I'm going to try these original IGUS dryland bearings. Okay, for the X-axis we will jump to the step 2 and make sure we have it all. These two. For these, let's put everything else aside for now. The idler, one of the M3 18mm, and of course the nylock nut, self-locking hex nut. If you notice, these, they have a kind of a lip on the top piece, which is of course the bottom piece. Don't try to push the linear bearings in that way, you're gonna destroy the part. They are going from the side that they are printed on. Also, there are a little piece right here that I just removed with a knife to give it some wiggling in this piece, which is obviously what's locking the LM8UU bearings down. Okay, I want to do this the best way possible, so I'm gonna take the actual rod that's gonna be used, push the first one almost to the bottom, make sure it's sitting tight, put this through. Now what I want to do is make sure that this, when it falls down, goes straight into the hole. That way I know that my alignment is correct. Yeah, it moves. You can try to rotate. Oh, that actually worked. If you rotate and find a better spot, keep it there, put it in. Yeah, that's very nice. And I don't have any problem getting it on and off. So that's one. Same thing applies to the other one. Push the LM8UU bearing to the bottom. Give it just a tight squeeze so it doesn't get squeezed too much by this piece right here. very stable. Yeah. Okay, so that's the bearings in. Okay, so we are going to prepare the motor piece, the motor mount piece, and one of the 18 millimeters and one of the square nuts. Yeah, there it is. You need to push this in as far as you can, like that. Then it will line up perfectly with the hole for this 18 millimeter M3 bolt. Let's just make this ready for the motor tension. You can barely see it in the hole right now. So just one more step. It's time to work with this one. We need the nylock nut. Goes on this side. Oh, before I forget, when you print any of the parts, it can be a good idea to drill it up. This is an 8 millimeter drill, which has been used for these holes where the rods go, simply because it's not easy to print a perfect round hole when it's on this orientation. So it can be a good idea to just drill the. Don't overdo it, because you don't want to make the holes so big that it wiggles in there. But I am going to take my 3.2 millimeter, make a hole there. Just a quick tip: if you can't get your self-locking hex nut to secure in this little part right here, you can use your soldering iron. You can just use a normal M3 hex nut, put it in as far as you can, and then just melt it in rest of the way. Be sure not to burn anything on the part, and just let it sit. Then afterwards we can just pop it out. Like that. So. All right, so let's put in our nut like that, and we are going to catch this . Gotcha. That runs freely. And then we need our long steel rods and 3 LM8UU bearings. The orientation of this is, of course, very important. This will be the top part. This will also be the rod that needs to have 2 of these bearings. And the one on the bottom will have just the one. On the original of these parts, there is a hole in only one of the sides, which I don't really understand, but I made holes in both sides now, so you know when you're sure it's all the way in, and you can see the rod through the hole. It's a clever thing, I know. See, this is all the way in. Okay, now I need to remember to make sure that these go on correctly. There you go. If you decide to use a hammer to put these on, be very careful not to crack the printed part. Next we need the stepper motor. Oh, and the pulley. You should always go for stepper motors that has a flat surface on the shaft. That makes it so much easier when you mount stuff on them. Mount this and not put it all the way in here, which makes sense. This, like on the y-axis, this will also be tightened all the way down when we get to the next step. Prepare 3 M3 by 18 millimeter bolts. That's very good because we only have 3 left, and we need to mount it like that. No big surprise there. At this point you want to make sure to have your stepper motor oriented the correct way, which for me is I want my wires facing downwards, and this bottom M3 bolt is the one that's the turning point. The other two makes the motor go like this to tighten the belt when we get to that part. So let's see. Now it's time to prepare the X carriage. That's that baby right there. We need 5 of these square nuts, S nuts, the zip ties, and that's the final pieces for this. Okay, so we have these slots which should perfectly fit for these. It's not easy with big fingers, but 1, 2, 5. I don't know if it has anything to do with performance, but on the manual they are started on the middle part and goes through like that. This is where the hot end and the extruder part will be. Okay. Now we put those things together. Okay, that seems simple enough. And I guess the next part is just to remove those, and then the x-axis is actually finished. A very important part of the build is done. Okay, so when you're done, it should look something like this. And as I said, this is one of the pieces that are built almost exactly like the original manual. Okay, you guys, that's the x-axis done. Now it's time to look at the next part of the build, which will be the z-axis or the z-axis. This is where the printer starts to look like a real 3D printer. So in the next video we will be going through all these parts and assembling the z-axis. Okay, you guys, so thank you for watching this far. Well, I guess if you see me now, you have watched the video all the way to the end. I appreciate that. I will start building the z-axis as soon as possible. So stay tuned, and oh yeah, and if you like this video, remember to use the thumbs up button, and if you want to be sure to be notified when the next part 3 will be uploaded, you should really consider subscribing and even pushing the bell to get the notifications. So, not much more to say. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and until next time, happy building.